Throwaway. BC, my husband's whole family is on here, and I don't need them seeing this right now. So I, female, 44, feel like I'm losing my mind over what happened tonight, and I honestly don't know if I'm overreacting or if my gut instinct is right. My husband Dave, male 43, was in our garage with my daughter's 19-year-old best friend in what looked like a really inappropriate situation, and now he's acting like I'm crazy for being upset about it. Am I the idiot for embarrassing him when he claims he was just trying to help her? Okay, so some background, because this didn't happen out of nowhere. My husband's been acting super weird lately about money stuff. Like, I'll ask him about our budget or why there's all these small cash withdrawals, like $40 to $80 several times a week, and he either dodges the question completely or gets straight up pissed at me. Last week, I asked about it again, and he said he wasn't stealing from us and that he's a grown man, then stormed off. Which, okay, but that's not normal for him. He's never been secretive about money before. And our daughter Emma, female, 20, has been making excuses not to come home for weeks now. Always some study group or work thing. Her texts in our family group chat have gotten super short and fake, like busy but good, with no actual information about her life. I mean, I know she's technically an adult, but it's weird how she went from calling me every other day to basically not talking to us. The other thing is, Emma's best friend, let's call her Jess, has been hanging around our house way more lately, like staying for dinner without giving us a heads up, which bugs me because I like to plan meals. I'm not trying to be unwelcoming, but I don't know, something about the whole situation felt off. So anyway, tonight I got home late from work, around 8:30, and I see the garage light on, which is weird because Dave usually closes it up before dinner. I hear voices coming from inside, his voice, and definitely a younger woman's voice. At first I figured maybe Emma was home and they were working on something together, but then I realized it sounded like Jess. I went over to check what was going on, and Jesus. I opened the side door and found Dave standing directly behind Jess, like way too close, with his hand on her lower back while she was bent over looking at the car engine. I could see her beat-up Honda parked in our driveway. Apparently she'd managed to drive it over despite whatever was wrong with it. His hand was just sitting there. Not like he was quickly steadying her or pointing at something, but like he was comfortable having it there. Both of them immediately jumped apart when they saw me, and I swear the guilty look on their faces, I've never seen anything like it. Jess started grabbing her stuff and apologizing, while Dave started explaining how she was having car trouble and he was just trying to help since she can't afford a mechanic. Jess basically ran out of there thanking him for the help, and I was just standing there trying to process what I'd walked in on. The whole thing felt so intimate, like I'd interrupted something private. When I asked Dave why his hand was on her back like that, he brushed it off, saying he was just steadying her while she looked at the engine. But when I pointed out how they both jumped apart like teenagers who got caught doing something wrong, he got super defensive and said he was just helping people, and I was making something innocent sound dirty. I probably could have handled it better, but I was so confused by the whole thing. I made some sarcastic comment about his teaching methods, which, was probably embarrassing. He stormed into the house after that, saying I was being ridiculous. Look, I'm not normally the jealous type, but something about this whole situation feels wrong. The secretive money stuff, Emma avoiding home, this girl hanging around constantly, and now finding them in what looked like, I don't even know what to call it. Maybe I'm overreacting because I've been stressed about the money weirdness lately, but Dave's never given me a reason not to trust him before this. I keep going back and forth between thinking I'm being paranoid and thinking my gut is telling me something important. The way they reacted when they saw me, that wasn't normal. That was guilty actions, right? Am I missing something here? Am I the idiot for confronting him about what looked inappropriate? Or should I have just minded my own business about him helping her? Edit 1. Since people are asking, no, I haven't talked to Emma about this yet. She's been dodging my calls for days anyway, and honestly, I'm not sure how to bring up finding Dad in a weird situation with her best friend. That feels like it could make everything worse. Edit 2. To those saying I should check our bank statements more carefully, trust me, I've been trying. But Dave handles most of our day-to-day banking, and when I ask about specific withdrawals, he just says it's gas money or lunch. I don't want to be the wife who demands receipts for everything, but maybe I need to start paying closer attention. Now for the first update. You were right about my husband not being honest about what happened in the garage. I confronted him this morning, and the whole thing is so much worse than I thought. He's been secretly handing out money all over our community and lying to me about it for months. Okay, so I couldn't sleep last night because I kept replaying that whole garage scene in my head. The way they both jumped apart, the guilty looks. Something was definitely going on that had nothing to do with car trouble. I mean, I've seen Dave help people with their cars before, and it never looked like that. So this morning over coffee, I brought it up again. Like, hey, I'm still bothered by what I saw yesterday, and I think we need to talk about it properly. He immediately got that defensive look on his face and started going through the same story about how Jess's car was making weird noises and he was just trying to help her figure out what was wrong. But here's the thing. I've been married to this man for 18 years, and I know when he's bullshitting me. He wouldn't make eye contact, kept fidgeting with his coffee mug, and his voice had that fake casual tone he uses when he's trying to convince me of something. So I said fine. If it was really just car trouble, then I'll call Emma and get Jess's number so I can give her the name of our mechanic. Just being helpful, right? I was totally testing him, and honestly I think he knew it. The second I said I was going to call Emma, Dave's face went white, like genuinely panicked. He started stammering about how I shouldn't bother Emma at work and that Jess probably already figured out the car thing. Which, what? If her car was actually broken yesterday, wouldn't she still need help today? I got up to get my phone, and he was practically begging me not to call. That last one really pissed me off because, get involved in what exactly? So obviously I called Emma anyway. Her phone went straight to voicemail, which was weird because even though she's been avoiding my calls lately, she usually at least picks up and makes an excuse. Going straight to voicemail felt more final somehow. I left a message asking her to call me back about her friend's car situation. She called back maybe 10 minutes later, and I could immediately tell something was wrong. Her voice was all shaky, and she sounded like she'd been crying or was about to cry. When I asked about Jess's car problems, she started stumbling through this explanation that made absolutely no sense. Something about the engine making noises, but then also the battery being dead. But also, maybe it was the starter. I kept pushing for details because the story kept changing, and finally she just broke down. Started sobbing and said there was never anything wrong with Jess's car. The whole thing was a lie. Turns out Jess came over because Emma owes several $1,000s on credit cards and has been getting calls from debt collectors. She was having a complete panic attack about it and went to Dave for help instead of coming to me. Which, I get why that hurts, but I was more focused on the fact that my husband lied to my face about it. Emma kept begging me not to make this into a big deal and saying she's handling it herself. But clearly, she's not handling it if she's having breakdowns in our garage about debt collectors. When I went back to Dave with this information, he tried to play it off like it was no big deal. Just some credit card stuff, and she's young, she'll figure it out. But I kept pushing because I was so angry about the lying. When I pressed him about why his hand was on her back like that, if she was just having a panic attack, he got flustered and said he was trying to comfort her and didn't realize how it looked, which I guess maybe makes sense if she was really freaking out, but it still felt wrong seeing it. Finally, he admitted that he's been giving Emma money every month to help with her debts. And not just small amounts, we're talking hundreds of dollars that I never knew about. Money that's been coming out of our account without me knowing. But wait, it gets worse. He's apparently been doing this for other young people too. A bunch of them. He's been like the community bank for every 19 to 25-year-old who needs money. Our neighbors' kids, people from church, Emma's friends. He said he's lent out thousands over the past year. When I asked why he never told me about any of this, he said, I would have said no and made everyone feel bad about needing help. I honestly don't even know how to process this. Yes, I probably would have had questions about lending money to a bunch of young adults without any kind of repayment plan, because let's be real, that's what this is. But the fact that he's been doing all this behind my back with our money and lying about it, I keep going back to that scene in the garage. Was he comforting her about money stress? Is that what all the physical closeness was about? I don't know what to think anymore. Emma texted me a few hours ago saying she didn't mean for any of this to come out and she's sorry I'm upset, but she needed someone who would actually help without making it complicated, which honestly just makes me feel like the worst mother ever. I've been looking at our bank statements all afternoon trying to figure out how much money we're talking about here. Those $40 to $80 withdrawals I mentioned before. Yeah, that's been going on for months. I found cash withdrawals going back to last summer that I never questioned because I trusted him. I don't know if I'm more angry about the money or the lying or the fact that apparently everyone in our family thinks I'm such a controlling bitch that they have to sneak around me to help each other. Dave keeps saying he was just trying to help people and that I'm making it sound worse than it is. But I feel like I don't even know my own husband right now. How do you secretly lend out thousands of dollars and act like that's normal marriage stuff? I'm supposed to trust him after this. I'm supposed to believe that everything I saw in the garage was totally innocent when he's proven he'll lie right to my face about it. Maybe I am too controlling about money, but isn't that something we should have discussed before he started running his own private lending operation out of our bank account? I honestly don't know where to go from here. Part of me wants to demand he get all that money back immediately, and part of me knows that's probably impossible since these are kids who are already struggling financially. But mostly, I just feel like an idiot for not seeing this sooner. Edit. 1. To answer the most common question, no, I haven't figured out exactly how much money he's lent out total. He says he doesn't keep track, which is making me even more suspicious about the whole thing. 2. For those asking if Emma is okay, she texted that she's staying with a friend tonight because she needs space to think. Apparently, asking questions about where our money is going counts as me being mean. 3. Yes, I realize I probably should have noticed the pattern in our bank statements sooner. In my defense, Dave handles most of our day-to-day banking, and I trusted him to mention if anything significant was happening. 4. To the people saying I should be proud my husband is generous, I'd be a lot more proud if he'd been honest about it instead of making me feel crazy for asking about cash withdrawals. Now for the second update. Well, you all called it. Every single one of you was right about my husband lying to me about way more than just the garage thing. I took everyone's advice and demanded that Dave give me contact information for all these families he's supposedly been helping. Even though he'd already admitted to lending money to multiple young people, I realized I had no idea how big this thing actually was or what other situations I didn't know about. I figured if he's really just being a good Samaritan like he claims, then he shouldn't have any problem with me calling to work out actual repayment plans instead of just throwing money at problems and hoping for the best. He got super weird about it at first, saying I didn't need to manage his relationships and that these people trusted him to be discreet. Which, okay, but we're talking about our money here, not his personal charity fund. After about an hour of back and forth, he finally pulled out this little notebook from his wallet. Apparently, he's been keeping track of some things, just not the amounts or dates or anything useful for budgeting purposes. I started with Emma's friend Jess's family, since that seemed like the most straightforward situation. Just call the mom, explain that we're trying to get a handle on our finances, maybe work out a payment plan that works for everyone. The mom answered on the second ring, and the second I said who I was, she started apologizing, immediately. She kept saying she was sorry about the living situation and that they were trying to find another setup soon. I had no idea what she was talking about. Emma had told me she was staying with a friend after our argument, but apparently there was a much bigger problem I didn't know about. I said I was calling about the money situation, and she got quiet for a second, then started apologizing even more. I asked what living situation she meant, and you could practically hear her realizing she'd said something wrong. Turns out Emma has been staying with them for weeks because she couldn't afford her apartment rent and basically got evicted 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, and nobody told me. The mom tried to backtrack and say it wasn't a big deal, just temporary until Emma figured things out. But I kept pushing for details because what the hell? My daughter has been homeless for almost a month, and I had no idea. Apparently Emma has been rotating between different friends' families' houses like some kind of couch surfing network, and everyone knew about it except me. The mom said Emma specifically asked everyone not to tell me because she didn't want to deal with my lectures and conditions. I'm sitting there trying to process that my own daughter thinks I'm such a controlling bitch that she'd rather be homeless than ask me for help. And this woman is apologizing for not calling sooner, but saying Emma was very specific about handling it herself. At this point, I realized I had no idea how big this whole thing was, so I called my sister-in-law to ask if Dave had been lending money to her kids too. She immediately got defensive and said, "He told us you didn't know," which, great. So, my husband's been running his mouth about our marital issues to his whole family. Turns out Dave has made himself the unofficial bank for all the young adults in our extended family. My sister-in-law admitted they all know not to mention it around me because I apparently have strong opinions about money management, like being responsible with finances is some kind of personality flaw. The whole conversation was so awkward because she kept acting like I was the problem for not knowing about this community lending library my husband created with our savings account. She said things like, "He's just trying to help, and these kids need someone who understands," which, I understand plenty. I just think there should be some kind of plan beyond throwing money at people. So then I called Emma directly. I tried to stay calm and just ask her to come home so we could figure this out together, but she immediately started crying and saying she couldn't face the "I told you so" lecture about her financial planning. I promised there wouldn't be a lecture, I just wanted her home and safe, but she said there's always conditions with me and always questions about why I didn't plan better, which honestly made me feel terrible because, yes, I do think financial planning is important, but I didn't realize asking about budgets made her feel like a failure. She ended the call saying she'd rather stay with people who actually help instead of judging everyone. So that was 3 weeks ago, and I've been trying to figure out how to fix this whole mess. Emma's been dodging my calls again, and Dave keeps saying I need to let her figure it out herself, but she's been figuring it out herself and it's not working. I thought maybe if I could show Emma that I can be supportive without being controlling, we could start over. So I decided to throw her a birthday party at our house, like a real party, with all her friends, to prove I'm not the evil mother everyone seems to think I am. I reached out to her friend group on social media and invited everyone to show I could be the cool mom who doesn't ask a million questions about everything. Emma reluctantly agreed to come, but she mentioned to people that my mom said everyone's welcome, which I guess in hindsight was vaguer than I meant it to be. The party actually went okay during the day. Emma seemed genuinely surprised that I just let everyone hang out without hovering or making comments about the music being too loud or whatever. I was feeling pretty good about the whole thing, honestly. But then, around evening, several of the young adults started asking about sleeping arrangements. Turns out they all expected to stay overnight based on Emma's comment about everyone being welcome, which, I guess I should have been more specific, but I was thinking like a 6-hour party, not a sleepover situation. I went upstairs to get some extra blankets from the closet and saw that the guest bedroom door was closed, which was weird because nobody should have been up there. I opened it and, Jesus. Dave was sitting on the bed next to Jess, the girl from the garage incident, and she was crying while leaning into him. His arm was around her shoulders, and their faces were way too close together. The whole scene looked so inappropriate that I just lost it. He immediately jumped up, saying she was upset about her housing situation, and he was just comforting her. But the way they were positioned, you don't sit that close to someone unless there's something else going on. His hand was literally stroking her hair. I screamed at him to get away from her and get out of my house. Jess ran downstairs and out the front door crying, and all the other party guests started leaving because of the yelling. Emma came upstairs to see what was happening, and I told her that her father had to leave immediately. She said, "This is exactly why I don't come home," and went to her room to start packing. I followed her, trying to explain that I wasn't mad at her. I was mad at the inappropriate boundary-crossing bullshit, but she said she was moving in with Dad wherever he ends up staying. She left with him that night and texted me later that she was blocking my number because she was done with all this and the control. So now I'm sitting in my house alone, wondering how everything went so wrong so fast. I thought I was trying to be supportive and prove I could be flexible, but somehow I ended up losing both my husband and my daughter in one night. Dave has been texting from his hotel saying I overreacted and that he was genuinely just comforting someone who was upset. But I can't get that image out of my head. The physical closeness, the way she was leaning into him, how comfortable they both looked until I walked in. I keep going back and forth between thinking, maybe I did overreact, and thinking that finding your husband alone with a 19-year-old girl on a bed is not something you're supposed to just be okay with. Emma won't answer my calls, and Dave's family is apparently taking his side because my mother-in-law called to lecture me about destroying the family over innocent kindness. I honestly don't know what I'm supposed to do now. Everyone's acting like I'm the villain for having boundaries about my husband's relationships with teenage girls, but nobody seems to care that he's been lying to me for months about significant financial decisions. Maybe I am too controlling. Maybe I should have just let everyone crash at my house and ignored the bedroom thing. But I feel like I'm taking crazy pills here, because since when is it normal for a married man to be providing that level of comfort to teenagers? I thought I was trying to fix things, and instead I destroyed what was left of my family. Edit. Since people are asking, no, I haven't talked to a lawyer yet, but honestly, I don't even know what I'd say. I mean, maybe there's something there, but I don't have proof of anything actually inappropriate happening. The hotel thing is only temporary, while Dave looks for a more permanent place to stay. Emma texted him, but not me, that she found a friend's couch to crash on until they figure out next steps. So basically, everyone's homeless now, which is exactly what I was trying to avoid. To those asking if I've found out how much money total he's lent out, he claims it's only about $8,000 over the past year. But his record keeping is so bad, I honestly don't trust that number. Could be more, could be less. Our savings account definitely took a hit, but it's not like we're bankrupt or anything. For the people saying Dave was obviously grooming these girls, I mean, maybe, but he's never given me any reason to suspect that kind of stuff before this year. Though I guess I also never suspected the secret lending operation, so clearly I don't know my husband as well as I thought. Everyone's acting like I should have seen this coming, but I still don't understand how wanting to know where our money goes makes me the bad guy in this situation. I feel like I'm living in some alternate reality where financial responsibility is a character flaw.